Welcome in, everyone. I am SquishableMoon, your shooting star alien VTuber with the range addiction and fewer brain cells than the common garden snail. And welcome back to my channel. And welcome back to another Forgotten Mark Syndrome AU. If you don't know, I'm Squishy and I'm making a My Little Pony AU called the Forgotten Mark Syndrome. And like in every video, I'm going to explain what Forgotten Mark Syndrome is before we get into the video. If you want to see my entire AU, there is a playlist that you can watch starting from the beginning that starts with Twilight Sparkle. Forgotten Mark Syndrome is based off of a real illness called Capgras Syndrome. I used a lot of symptoms from Capgras Syndrome as kind of a template to make my own illness. Since I didn't have very much experience making my own AU and making my own illness, I thought it would be more useful to take some inspiration from real life and implement it into the My Little Pony universe. So I picked an illness that sounded interesting and added on top of it to make it fit into the My Little Pony universe. Capgras Syndrome, also known as delusion of doubles or imposter syndrome, is a rare psychotic disorder that causes people to believe that their loved ones have been replaced by identical imposters. The imposter can also be inanimate objects like a shoe or a door, or even a pet or animal. The belief is so real that nothing can really correct it. So, putting it into the My Little Pony universe, Forgotten Mark Syndrome is very similar. People with this illness believe their friends and family members have been replaced by changelings, which is another race in My Little Pony who can change their forms. They also believe that their cutie mark has been replaced by somebody else's cutie mark, or that another person has their cutie mark. The illusion is so strong that it is basically impossible to correct. However, in my AU, they are slowly working on a way to cure it, or at least manage it so people can live long and fulfilling lives with this illness. In order to get Forgotten Mark Syndrome, a pony or other creature in My Little Pony has to be bitten by an unreformed changeling. In my universe, unreformed changelings have a type of venom that is used to protect themselves that gives ponies an illness that makes them go a little bit crazy, so that way the changelings will be safe. So far, I have done Twilight, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, and Fluttershy, and Rainbow Dash. And today, we are going to be doing AppleJack. That's right, today we're doing AppleJack, the element of honesty. And I had to make super sure that this video was perfect because not only is AppleJack usually the last pony people think about when it comes to the My Little Pony main 6, but also because she is my mama's favorite pony, and I wanted to make sure to do the character right because she deserves to have just as much love as every other character. AppleJack, of course, is the element of honesty, and while I think honesty is really important, I think in situations that deal with a large pandemic, someone needs to use honesty in a very efficient way, if you know what I mean. Honesty is a great way to connect to people and make them feel like you're someone that they can relate to. But honesty can also be used as a way to hurt people, and I think this is something that is really important and that a lot of people don't really think about very often. Honesty is seen as something to strive for, to be honest to everyone, to be honest to yourself, and to always say what's true and honest at the time. But I think people forget that honesty can also be used to hurt others, especially if you use it for the wrong reasons. One could be honest in a really, really blunt way, like how AppleJack was really honest to some of the contestants that Rarity was seeing for a fashion show that she was trying to run. AppleJack was being too overly honest and biased with her own opinions, which honesty can be good, but if you're using it to be hurtful, that is where it starts to get bad. Honesty isn't just good or bad. AppleJack's honesty is one of the reasons I didn't want to make her close to Twilight during the time of her being infected by the Forgotten Mark Syndrome. Although I feel like AppleJack is a very sweet and amazing pony, I feel like at times she has a hard time understanding when being honest may not be exactly the best thing to do in a scenario. Sometimes when people have a illness that affects their minds in certain ways, sometimes being honest can hurt the person with the illness, and sometimes lying you have to do just because that's what the illness is like. I feel like AppleJack would be a little too honest or too blunt, and as we've seen in the show, she has a hard time working on that. Similar to how Fluttershy has to work on being overly shy and a doormat, AppleJack has to work on being too overly honest and blunt, which can be a bad thing when in the wrong situation. So, getting on to at least the way she looks, similar to a lot of the characters in my AU, her cutie mark is going to get a lot bigger because she is going to have to be using a lot more of her magic during this time. And I really want to tie in the new show of, what is it called? Oh, Make Your Mark. Make Your Mark with Friendship is Magic. So I want to tie in the new show with Friendship is Magic so it feels like they kind of correlate. So AppleJack is going to be the first pony to unleash her Earth Pony magic. Now we all know that there are Earth Ponies, Pegasi, and Unicorns, and they're all special in their own way. But it's always felt like Earth Ponies had the shorter end of the stick, like they didn't really have powers of their own, other than being really good at gardening. And that is one of the things I really liked about the new generation. Similar to how some of the characters in my AU have different cutie marks, I am going to make AppleJack's cutie mark a lot bigger during this time because of the amount of magic she is going to be having to use. And I really want this to tie into the new show, Make Your Mark, because I think making the next generation and the older generations fit together is a really interesting thing to do. Now, we all know that there are Earth Ponies, Pegasi, and Unicorns, of course. They're all special in their own way, but I always felt like the Earth Ponies had the shorter end of the stick, like they didn't really have any powers of their own. I mean, they were good at gardening and using their hooves, but that was about it. And that is one thing I really liked about the new generation. If you guys don't know, in the new generation, Make Your Mark, Earth Ponies have the power to use gardening magic, and they're able to grow flowers, food, and gardens, make ginormous plants that they might not normally be able to do in regular gardens, and they can actually control the growing magic with their own magic. And I've really enjoyed this. They just use their hooves and they're able to do magic. I think that's a really interesting thing because now it feels like it's equal. They all have a way to use magic. And I like to think that this isn't a new thing to the new generation. I would like to think that maybe AppleJack was the first Earth Pony to actually tap into their true magic that Earth Ponies were supposed to have. Sort of in a way where maybe Earth Ponies never really needed magic to begin with. They were always fine without magic. Unlike maybe Unicorns who need their magic and Pegasi who need to fly and use it on a day-to-day basis. Earth Ponies were just fine without magic. So they never really had to use magic to begin with, and that just made it fade into where they couldn't use it. But because AppleJack needed to use more magic to make more food because of all of the chaos going on, they're going to tap into a special kind of earth magic to be able to grow more plants. So their cutie mark is basically going to be apple vines growing down their legs and wrapping around their legs with leaves and maybe some bark to make a plant-ish, like plants growing up their leg basically. But no, that isn't enough for AppleJack. AppleJack isn't going to grow just normal plants. No. Of course she is going to grow apple trees, but these are going to be very special apple trees. Each one is going to be able to give ponies a certain type of emotion. That's right. During a time when emotions are running high and there's so much chaos going on, the one pony who has a hard time understanding other people's emotions, AppleJack, is going to be the pony reassuring ponies by giving them special emotion apples. So let's say a pony comes to the farm and is dealing with a lot of stress because they're scared their child are going to get infected by the changeling bite. Now, changelings are a lot more common these days in Equestria. And let's say they're absolutely scared that their child is going to get infected by the changelings that they're going to school with. AppleJack will be able to grow a tree that has a special kind of apple that if a pony eats it, she will calm down and relax, and it will make her able to understand the situation a lot better, and AppleJack can reassure her of everything that is going on. AppleJack is going to have the power to affect people's emotions with the plants that they eat and grow. And I like to think that they're all different kinds of apples, different shapes, different sizes, different colors. Maybe some have spots, maybe some have stripes, kind of similar to the Zap apples, but a little bit different. Like I said, for all of the ponies in my AU, I really wanted this to be a chance for them to truly shine and use what they have to shine even brighter, and maybe even step out of their comfort zone a little bit. Which is why I wanted AppleJack to do this. AppleJack is a very good friend. We all know this, but I think we've all noticed that she has a hard time helping ponies when they are having big emotions because she doesn't know how to deal with them herself. I feel like AppleJack is a very selfless person. She's more likely to do everything herself than ask somebody for help. She doesn't really know how to comfort her friends very well, and as we've seen, she cries more on the inside and maybe doesn't like showing big emotions in front of other people because she's always had to be as strong as a rock for her family. With AppleJack being able to grow plants that can make other ponies happy, I think it would be a very good step for her in dealing with her own emotions when coming to other people. It's a good learning opportunity for AppleJack, but also I think it's a good opportunity for AppleJack to show more kind and caring sides of herself. While AppleJack is a very honest person, I wouldn't say they're very open about their true feelings and emotions, which can make a lot of people disconnect with AppleJack. But in a lot of ways, I feel like we have a lot to learn from her. So AppleJack is going to be in charge of making every pony happy, or at least not feeling such negative emotions that is going to stir everyone into making more chaos than they already are in. AppleJack won't only be selling apples to Ponyville, but will be selling apples to all over Equestria, along with other types of apples that will help with emotional wellness. And of course, it's not going to be sold just to ponies. No, she is also going to be selling her apples to changelings. Because during this time, you can only imagine how the changelings are dealing with this. The changeling hive has been in uproar since this has started coming out because they had no idea that this could happen. This is the first time that a changeling has ever bit a pony, and we are learning about this stuff for the first time. I feel like the changelings are getting the short end of the stick because obviously changelings are a lot more peaceful than we give them credit for. I don't think they want anything like this to happen. It's just when there's a lot of stuff going on, you never know when one person might ruin it for everybody else. And in this case, one changeling biting one pony is what set it into motion. It isn't the changeling's fault. It isn't the pony's fault. It's just something that happens when people are put together. Sometimes you're going to have fights. Sometimes you're going to have hot-headed people. Every creature on this planet in my AU, it has the opportunity to be a butt face. They have an opportunity to be a butt face. The yaks are probably going to have somebody who's a butt face. The ponies have ponies who are butt faces. And the changelings are bound to have people who are butt faces. And what happens when you put two butt faces together? They're going to butt heads. And that's just something that happens. Not only that, but AppleJack is going to be in charge of keeping timber wolves and other animals at bay out of the Everfree Forest. AppleJack is a very strong pony, and we all know this. And because Fluttershy is away in the changeling hive, they don't have her ability to talk to animals to keep animals from trying to come in and find safety. So AppleJack is going to be in charge of keeping the animals at bay. Applejack is going to have a lot more ability than we give her credit for. She does take care of farm animals, and I think that's why she's the next best person to deal with this. The Timberwolves are going to be going crazy. They're going to be trying to get into Ponyville with all the chaos going on. They're going to think that this is an easy opportunity to get them a late night snack. And Applejack is going to be the only person standing between the town and the Timberwolves. She is going to be keeping the town safe, almost like a guard. Her and her family are going to rise up. She is going to have more family members. She's going to get more people from town, and they are going to make a group of watchmen who watch over the town. Applejack is going to be the shield that protects the town, and I think that is a very good role for her. With that being said, that is what I have for Applejack. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the last of the main 6 that I am doing. And next, I'm going to be picking 2 or 3 more characters to do to end off this series. And I can't wait to make those as well. Make sure to stay tuned for Mondays. I am going to be doing my streaming. So if you liked my videos, you might like my streams. One warning, my streams are going to be more 18 plus oriented because I cannot filter myself on stream to save my life. Videos will still stay remotely family friendly, but streams will be a little bit more saucy. With that being said, guys, I'm SquishableMoon. I hope all your dreams come true. Bye-bye.